Welcome to my craft table. Hi, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to my craft table. Today I'd like to show you how to make this card. Well, let me scroll down and we'll get started. Okay, welcome to Jamie's craft table. This is Jamie Magrich and I'd like to show you how to make this card. It's a middle of the road card. It's simple stamping, but we are adding the embossing folder and the one die cut. So let's get started. For inks, we're going to be using Lovely Lipstick, Pacific Point, Night of Navy, Pear Pizzazz, and Garden Green. Now for the blues, you could just use one ink. For the blues and for all of them, you could use just one of the blues and one of the greens and stamp off, but I'm choosing to use different colors. It just is a little bit more fun. We're going to be using the Abstract Impressions stamp set, and we're going to be using the two grasses, the butterfly body, these two butterfly pieces, and these two flowering pieces. And then for a sentiment, I just wanted a little tiny strip, so I'm going to use this Hello from Free as a Bird, which is coming out in the new catalog starting on June 4th. Okay, and the embossing folder we're going to be using is the Swirls and Curls. Okay, for the paper, oh, we also need a memento. Actually, I think I used the dark blue, so maybe we don't need the memento. So I have just a scrap or strip of Whisper White for the sentiment. I have the second largest scalloped square die. I've already, for the sake of time, cut it out of the Lovely Lipstick foil paper that was part of Celebration. So let me put that away so I don't lose it. Alright, we're using some of the flax ribbon and then a couple strands, 3 strands out of another piece. This square of Whisper White is 2.5 inches square. Then I have a piece of Pear Pizzazz, which is 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Then I have a thick, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this piece of Pear Pizzazz and run it through the embossing folder, in the embossing folder through the machine. And my machine is a big shot right now. Okay. And let me pause you and I'll be right back when I'm done with that. Okay, I'm back, and I just wanted to point out this is a regular embossing folder. It's not the thick dynamic one. So for my sandwich would be the regular platform, a cutting plate, the embossing folder with the paper in it, and another cutting plate. Alright, and there we go. There's our piece of embossed paper. Okay. Now on the back of this, you can use it either way, the embossed side or the debossed side. It doesn't really matter. I think this one I'll do this side, so I did the other side. Actually. Okay, and I'm going to bring in the snail. And I'm going to add some snail, and I'm going to wrap this flax ribbon around the back of it. And it's about 1/3 down towards that bottom third of the card. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and attach this to our Whisper White piece. This actually needs to be trimmed a little bit. And I'll be right back. Okay, and the reason I needed to trim my cardstock is because sometimes when you emboss paper, it shrinks it a little bit because it's pushing in on the paper. So that was the case this time. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card front. I like to try, oh, I'm out of stuff. Snail's gone. I like to try and run some of the snail right over my ribbon, and I'm putting a lot on this because it's an embossed piece and it is a little bit warpy. Okay, so down towards this bottom third. Okay. And we're going to place this aside for a minute. Now we're going to bring in the square. Can you see that? I hope you can. We bring in a... There we go. That'll work. And I'm going to start with the greens. I'm going to start with the pear pizzazz. And the fatter of the two leaves. I probably should bring in a scratch paper too, because I am going to stamp off the edge. Okay, so we're down towards this bottom, we're just going to stamp this. Whoops, it didn't stamp very well. That's alright, we'll fill it in. Okay, and we're going to bring in the other one, the other green I mean, and the other leaves. I'm going to stamp right over, a little bit lower. And I just stamped off a couple times just to fill it in. Okay, I didn't do that on the first one. The first one I used watercolor paper. Alright, now we're going to bring in the Pacific Point. And the stamp with the larger of the two flowers. And we're just going to stamp this a couple of times. I don't think there's any right or wrong. I'm just going to stamp it. And I turned it like this and stamped it again. Okay. We're going to bring in the Night of Navy. And the other piece. This is supposed to add shadows to those, some of those images. Definition. So try to line it up as best you can. If you don't, that's fine too. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to bring in the one that looks like a heart with openings in it and the lovely lipstick. And I'm going to have to put my butterfly in a different position because my flowers ended up being in a different position. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this, and I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to, let's have the butterfly going this direction this time. Stamp it. Okay, now we're going to bring in the other piece of the butterfly body. Oh, it's on. Okay, and we're going to do that one full strength. And we do need the black ink. I forgot we need it for the butterfly body. Okay, done with the pink ink. Bring in the memento. And I've got the body on the other side. So I only had a couple of these little blocks. Stamp the body. I'm going to peel this off, I can't see through it. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to bring in our strip. Since we got the black out, we might as well use it. I'm going to stamp the hello. I kind of did it in the center so I could determine where I wanted my flag. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to adhere this to our lovely lipstick paper. We'll go ahead and use the snail. And again, I'm using more than I normally would on a normal card because it's hard to get stuff to adhere to foil sometimes. Alright, then I'm going to bring in dimensionals. I'll put a couple dimensionals at each corner. Oops, that one's sticking off. I want to put it just a little bit. Okay, take the backs off, poke your nail in, folds up that edge a little. Okay, bring in our card base. Place that over here. So it's straddling the ribbon, and it's just a little bit over each side on the green. Alright. And I've already tied my bow. I will need to probably change the tails a little. Now it doesn't look too bad. We're going to bring in a glue dot. Whoops, come on, stick to my... I'm going to stick that over here. Okay, now the hello. I see I want to cut it about there, so let's cut it about there with our snips. I'll just grab scissors because I don't know where my snips are. Would help if it was straight though. Okay, then I'm going to cut it about this long. So I want to flag this end. So I'm just going to cut into the center, and then from the corner to the end of that cut. And then the other corner to the end of that cut. That makes a little fishtail. And this is going to get glued right there. And it's right along the edge of that other one. Oops, just slid. Come on. There we go. Well, there we go. There's our card. There's the card we just made. Here's the one I did previously. Now, if you'd like to make it be a little bit simpler, you could not emboss this at all. Maybe just stamp some greens or something on the background, and then just have a, instead of die cut the square, just cut out a larger square. Well, thank you so much for joining me at my craft table. I hope you have a great rest of your day.